well, you know what? They're gonna reach out to me and we're gonna talk, you know, and I'm hoping that I have a future. You would hear heads here and there saying it's gonna be hard for you, Rey. I mean, WWE has never had any small.
It's a big man territory.
Yeah, exactly. So, in a way, it was kind of challenging for me in order to get in there. To the 4 years of being in AAA, and it ended up in good terms. Bishop, I think, was probably the hardest because I really didn't deal with him a lot. It was mainly Conan. Conan would always go in and speak for all of the luchadores. I truly believe that they definitely opened up the doors for me to have an opportunity in WWE, especially Eddie, being that we are from the same race. So, if anything, I was deeply impressed with like a Kurt Angle, who wanted to work with me at my first SummerSlam pay-per-view. To me, that was like, wow, that's really cool. I'll take it. At one point, we were both watching each other go at it, while he was with Christian and we were in WCW. And I would imagine he was watching us go at it, with Hoovy and Psychosis. So it was good to finally meet up and be able to do something together. And the chemistry that we put together, I don't know what it is, but the partners that I had during my WWE years, I became very fond of, and we just clicked automatically. I don't think there was one that I can recall that we didn't hit it off.
Now,
Either that, or they knew that Rob and I were just talented and we could make them look good. And on certain matches, I'm pretty sure we did. That feud that Eddie and I had in after WrestleMania 21 was actually a lot of Eddie's input. So there you go. I mean, that tells you pretty much everything. WCW, we had no input.
Right.
And if that is true, that's probably just Eddie being a hothead for that night.
Right. I think that Eddie and Chris got into an argument in the ring after the match, and Eddie stormed out of the building before it was over. What are your memories or insight to that? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember it, but I do remember that anytime Eddie and Chris would fight, they would probably end up throwing a fit, just like a husband and wife,
Yeah.
and then make up the next day.
Of
So,
course.
that's a classic Eddie and Benoit story. I think a lot of the frustration that was built up throughout the years of him not deserving, or him not getting the opportunity that he deserved, whether it was in WCW. I know in Mexico he worked his ass off.
Oh, yeah.
And ECW, he worked his ass off as well. But I think it was probably more the anger that was built up in WCW, not being able to do and create the character that he wanted. And I think he was able to do it in WWE.
Now, physically behind the scenes, he was hurting pretty badly. Why do you think he pushed himself so hard? Just to prove that he was, what you just said?
He pushed himself so hard because that was always Eddie's mentality. He didn't believe on half-assing it. Never. Whether he was tired, whether he didn't sleep the night before, and he had a pay-per-view event, he just never believed in half-assing it. And the only thing that I was remembering at the time was like that it was gonna suck not being able to work with Eddie anymore, because I know he was moving on to work with, I believe, Batista.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember we poured it all out that night. And when it came down to the finish, I remember Eddie getting very pissed off because it wasn't going the way it was planned. And he was just yelling and cussing in Spanish and English. And my wife was freaking out. She didn't know what was going on. But at the end of the night, man, it was definitely a dream catcher, man. It was one of those special nights. You could not even tell.
When did you first learn Chavo had found him at the hotel?
I took a flight. We were going to Europe on a Sunday night, and he was only a couple blocks away. So I went over and I saw him, and he was in his room. Chavo was there, Dean was there, Chris was there, I was there. The only person that was missing was Conan, and because he wasn't in the company, and Jericho. And Jericho at the time was doing something else. And the doctor that was with us at the time, Dr. Rios. He made it happen so we can see him before they took him that night, and it was devastating. And then, not to mention, that was Eddie's wife after performing, so she wasn't a stranger,
Why do you think Eddie's daughter?
I think us as talent, we had to look at it as, okay, this is going to be the future of wrestling, and if we need to be on good medical history and well conditioning, because that included not besides the drug testing, cardiovascular testing, electro, and all that. So I mean, it was a regimen of certain things that was apparently good for our talent.
Do you think WWE should even find talents for smoking weed, or nah?
I
The
don't
stories at the time were that everyone wanted you to win the title in honor of Eddie, and Vince was maybe cold to the idea. What do you remember about that time period, and how did you feel knowing that Vince maybe didn't see you in that light? Did that discourage you at all, or?
No, I've always thought that whatever. Again, I've never been a big politician, so you would never see me in meetings. You would never see me maybe fighting for what I deserve. It's not my character. It's not who I am.
There's a version of the story that you followed him to the airport and tried to talk him out of leaving. Was that true?
Where'd you get that from?
Talking to different guys.
I remember trying to talk to him. And I actually got booed. I remember that. I don't think I liked the booking of that match.
It was a non-finish, I believe. It was a death match.
Yeah, we did that table across the rail and
Yep.
the apron, and he came off with the springboard DDT into the table. He was Booker in WCW, and he was Booker in WWE, and he continues to be Booker. He's always been very chill, very mellow, does his work, does everything right, and very respectful, man. He's one to respect.
I want to talk a little bit about Chris Benoit for a little bit. It's been said that after Eddie passed away, Chris was never the same. Would you agree?
I had the opportunity to travel with Chris a good while after Eddie had passed, and I mean Chris was a very very quiet guy. I mean, he didn't speak much. He spoke to you if he liked you, or he would laugh spontaneously. But I think if you really read him and you knew him from the past, you knew that he was hurting, and that he missed whatever happened, and it was just very hard for us to digest it. And I do know this. I know that Eddie and Chris are now together. That's for sure. I'll tell you what, the best way to remember Chris is the picture that they have with him and Eddie in the center of the ring with all the confetti coming down. That's the best way to remember him. I think he's one of the best workers. I love working with Dolph. He's definitely, at the time, was an up-and-coming talent that I just got along very well with. He was barely identifying himself with his character and the style that I had. So I knew his background. As a kid growing up, I think one of my favorite masks, besides my uncle's, was his father's mask. So I was actually very excited to see him perform.
Okay. Favorite memories in working with Alberto?
I think the beginning stage. I didn't take things personal. I knew it was just a moment thing to get this match to where it needed to be. And the one thing I am happy about that night is that I believe I had a great match with John. With all the bullshit aside and whatnot, if I was gonna keep the title or not. I think that and this happens every time. Go out there and try to give the fans, the best that they can see for that night. I do remember being on top of the turnbuckle, and Wade got up and he did a move where he split my legs, and as I landed, the top right before you hit the turnbuckle, the rope hit me right on the palm of my right hand. Again, I'm going to what was on writing. After my meeting with Hunter, everything was fine and clear, and the only thing that was needed to do was clear everything off legally. And sure enough, legally, I wasn't bound to just leave at this point. That's why they added that stipulation that was under, I don't know, section so and so in the contract that I signed. So if you think about it, it might have been a call, but if it wasn't, it was still in writing, so there was nothing I can do. It's incredible how far we've come. When I used to wrestle in Tijuana, and we talk about this story a lot, and she'll go, remember that time you got paid 15 pesos or 50 pesos, and when you came back into the car and you opened up your envelope and you saw you only had 50 pesos, you said, well, at least we got to go eat tacos tonight.